Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Wishing all the lovely ladies a very happy Women's Day. I am Sukriti, your host, and I heartily welcome you all to the TechGeek virtual panel discussion on Break the Bias, What Women in Tech Want. So UNESCO states that International Women's Day is an occasion to celebrate the progress made towards achieving gender equality and women's empowerment, but also to critically reflect on those accomplishments and strive for a greater momentum towards gender equality worldwide. It is a day to recognize the extraordinary acts of women and to stand together as a united force to advance gender equality around the world. Every year, we at TechGeek try and felicitate the discussions with the leading ladies of the technology industry. And today, yet again, I'm here with the change makers of the technology industry altogether to talk about creating the disruptions and breaking the biases. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, and I'm elated to have Anita, Manda, who is the Director of Information Technology ServiceNow, Dr. Chitra, Lele, President and founder of Actu-Real, Madhurima Agarwal, Director, Engineering Programs, NetApp India, Monika Sharma, Scientist, Deep Learning and Artificial Intelligence, TCS Research, and Shraddha Surana, Lead Data Scientist from Thoughtworks. Ladies, wish you a very happy Women's Day and thank you for being a part of this conversation. I would request you to please, start with a brief introduction of yourself. Anita,
yeah, hi. Should I go?
Yes.
Yeah, hi everyone. This is Anita Manda. I work for ServiceNow. I'm a director for IT applications there. I take care of development, QA teams and SAP teams for various tracks. So I'm really honored to be here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anita. Chitra?
Yeah, hi. Nice to be here. I'm Chitra Lele. I'm the founder and president of Actu-Real Inc. I was a founding team member of another company prior to this, was with Pfizer for about 10 years and have done research and taught in both in the US and in India for a long time. I have been primarily focused on the healthcare and pharma industry, but all the data related aspects of it. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Madhurima.
Hi everyone, I'm Madhurima Agarwal. I am the global head for the startup program for NetApp, that's called NetApp Accelerator. I bring about 19 years of experience, which is across industries, across domains. It's really exciting to be here and along with all the other ladies here and given the opportunity to share my thoughts. Thanks, Sukriti. Very excited to be here.
Thank you so much, Madhurima. Pleasure. Monika?
Thank you, Sukriti, for providing me this wonderful opportunity. Hi, everyone. I am working as a scientist at TCS Research from last 9 years. Here I'm leading Deep Vision Group, where we utilize state-of-the-art techniques in machine learning, deep learning, and computer vision to solve real-world problems related to medical imaging and document image analysis. Our work has resulted in more than 25 paper publications in top-tier AI conferences, and we have filed multiple patents in India, and many have been granted in foreign jurisdictions. I'm really excited to be part of this panel discussion today and look forward to having a great conversation and learning experience with my co-panelists. Thank you.
Thanks, Monika. Shraddha?
Hey, everyone. I'm Shraddha Surana. I am currently playing 2 roles at Thoughtworks. I am the global data community lead, where I'm looking at how we can cohesively build the data community inside Thoughtworks and industry in general. I am also a data scientist, and while I had been focusing a lot on some business problem statements like price optimization and customer churn, my focus for the past few years has been in the research area. So my current works are more towards using machine learning for scientific discoveries, more in the astrophysics and drug discovery domains. Very excited to be here with this lovely group of panelists. I'm looking forward to having a great conversation. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you so much, Shraddha. So before we begin, audience, we will be taking up your questions. So in case if you have any, please feel free to drop them in the chat window, and we will definitely make sure that some of them are answered if you have time. So let's just begin with the question. So, ladies, the theme of this International Women's Day is break the biases, right? What does this phrase means to you in your own professional, career, and how has it evolved altogether? What exactly? How would you define it? And what comes to your mind exactly when you hear this tag altogether? So, Anita, let's begin with you.
Yeah, hi. The phrase break the bias is, I think it's a mindset that, we bring to the table. What we should continue doing, what we, love to do. We have a lot of stereotypes that are built around women and our societies. So, and there are a lot of challenges also. So, in my last 20 years of experience, I started my journey as a developer. So from there, I kept hearing women can't code and women, don't have to worry too much about the finances of the house. Then, women should take up creative jobs. Why get into coding, get into HR, get into finance, something like that. So these are like, there are so many biases that are always thrown at us all the time. So I would say challenge the bias, take it as a challenge, and you can take risk. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't, but when it works, it works. When it doesn't work, you have a learning. You can start from there. You have at least traveled some path. So it is not just us. I remember reading Sudha Murthy's book, and she mentioned that when she was first looking for a job, the notice was kept that women candidates need not apply. So from there, we have really traveled a lot of path, I would say. The organizations are accepting. The first step to change is acceptance that there is a problem. So definitely the organizations are supporting us. There are so many biases where they say that the sciences and arts, sciences and maths are for men and, arts are for women. I think we are breaking that. The stats to show that the girls are taking up a lot of STEM, courses these days. So we have traveled a lot, I would say, but there is a lot of road to travel. So let's continue the journey. Let's talk to each other and get it going.
Wonderful. Thanks, Anita. Chitra?
Yeah, my thought is not very different from what Anita mentioned. I really feel that the best way to break the bias is to ignore it, especially if you think it's against you. It's best to ignore it and expose it through your actions and achievements. And the bias against women in careers, especially these careers which were not traditionally supposed to be quote unquote meant for women, is no different and has to be dealt in the same way. Of course, given that men had an earlier start when it comes to careers in technology, it may take time for the playing field to level off. But until then, I feel it's very important for every woman to just do her best to demonstrate through her actions and achievements that the bias is unfounded.
Thanks, Chitra. Madhurima?
Yeah, I fully agree with what Anita and Dr. Chitra said. The other dimension I look at break the bias is where all of us, right, we have this unconscious bias in our mind about how a perfect woman should look like, how a perfect mother should be, who's a great daughter, wife, various roles that we play, for great employee for that matter. And I think that's what needs to change. We all need to break those stereotypes, create our own entity, create our own vision of what we think success is, right? Don't go by what the world defines as success. And I think if each of us can break that bias, that's a huge achievement which will take us much closer to happiness and greater fulfillment. So just define your own worldview, define your own success, and own it. Don't go by other standards.
Thanks, Madhurima. Monika?
Okay, so let me answer this by giving my own example. So I joined TCS Research directly after my graduation without any prior experience in research, be it of computer vision, deep learning, or machine learning. So from being an individual contributor to now leading a division group at TCS Research, I have come a long way. Therefore, according to me, break the bias means believe in yourself and trust that nothing is impossible. Be confident and don't hesitate to put across your ideas and views. Let yourself be heard, seen, and not get intimidated by others sitting at the table. Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks, Monika. Shraddha?
Hey, so break the bias. When we talk about this, what first comes in my mind is a theme that at Thoughtworks also we are running this time. Is I'm a technologist, not a female technologist. So, and a lot of places, so the whole discussion will go on quite well about technology. You know, we are passionately talking about technology. And suddenly at the end, there may be questions like, so what is it like being a woman in this space? I think that totally changes the atmosphere. I feel suddenly I become very conscious that I am a woman. Like I was a technologist until now, and now suddenly I'm a woman who happens to be a technologist. So I think the conversation needs to change. It should be seen more as I'm a technologist who happens to be a woman, not the other way around. So I think this is quite important, and the bias is very important now because I think from the start, everyone agrees that diversity needs to be there. There needs to be a balance of genders. And while there are focused efforts in that, there are certain unconscious biases that play from all the genders, which now needs to be reflected upon and to move forward.
So, it was very interesting to know the various aspects of breaking the biases and how you've come across this entire thing. But, and of course, the numbers, as Anita mentioned, every year it's evolving, and we're seeing a little progress that's made there. And according to reports also, Deloitte Global predicts that large global technology firms on average will reach nearly 33% overall female representation in their workforce in 2022. And which is up slightly more than 2% of what was in 2019 or 2020. The proportion of women in technical roles will also nudge up, though it has tended to lag the overall proportion. But the entire proportion of women by about 8%, globally. So, all these reports, all these stats that we see around is the result of what we're discussing today. And how we as women in our organizations are trying to be the change makers, are trying to make people accept that the change is required and this is how we're going to drive it. Moving forward with another set of things that I would want to know from each one of you, that why do you think it's important for more women to join the technology? Because there's this typical stereotype that's made, as Shraddha mentioned, that you're a women technologist. Why do we have to add that gender biasness there? You were just a technologist, right? And I think this is something that even the Bollywood industry is calling out, that I am not a female actress, I am an actress, right? So that balance has to be very important. And you help me understand. I'll go back to Shraddha. Shraddha, help me understand, why do you think it's important for more women to join the tech industry?
So that's me, right? Yeah.
Go ahead.
The question is, why do we think women technologists or women in tech industry are required? Okay. So if you really see from the stats and the research standpoint, women are trailing, in terms of pay, leadership roles, representation everywhere. Like Dr. Chitra was telling, maybe we started late. That's okay, but and if we are catching up because we know our strengths now, a lot of women are coming forward and talking about all these, challenges that they have faced. I will go back to the root of the problem, right? Well, I was talking about the bias, that many children, and year on year, you will be reading girls outperform boys in grade 10 and 12, right? That gives me a lot of confidence that the younger set which is coming now, they are not afraid to take a step ahead. If you see our workforce today, we are 50% at the entry level, if you really see from the technology standpoint. But as you grow into the senior levels, the percentage dips by 16%. and the C level or the executive positions are just 10%. So why is it that? Probably it is because when we started, I was only person on the table, right? Now, when we see the new workforce coming in, we have 50-50 ratio. So the things are improving. And why is it important for organizations to have diversity, women diversity? We bring a whole new perspective to a problem. We look at things very differently. And 34% increase in productivity or revenue has happened, just because of introduction of women team members in the organization. And I'm not just stating some facts, you can go back and check the stats around it. We really think differently. We are bringing to table what the product should be, what should be the thought process. We bring empathy to the teams. We bring motivation, to the table, right? The people are talking about all these, and especially in terms of Corona times, I think empathy, being human was one of the primary things that came into light. And I'm pretty much sure everybody in the panelists will agree with me that women bring that trait, and that motivates people to do more. Productivity increased in these last 2 years. So that is where. And I think why women should be there, because we are there for each other. We are a community. It is not about I, me, myself all the time. We will become role models for somebody. We don't know who is listening to us. In my last 20 years of career, every time I've heard a woman leader speak, I have taken one thing that I can carry for my career. So when we speak, we talk about our challenges, and somebody out there is looking at those, because we don't want women to drop in the mid-career. We want them to continue to the leadership roles. We don't want them to start strong and then say, we have life events, we cannot continue anymore. And technologies are important for our economy or for our revenues. So I think we should have them.
Thanks, Anita. Shraddha, I'll move to you now.
Hey, I totally agree with Anita, especially the part about bringing in the new perspective. If you look at the flip side, if there were no women or no other gender in the technology industry, the kind of products that would be built would most likely be applicable only to half the population, right? But we have a whole population. We live in a balanced world. Ideally, we want to live in a balanced world. And I think totally to bring in that perspective from all sides is very important. I would say even for the success of the product to be used by the whole population instead of just half of it. I also totally agree on the empathy factor. Couldn't stress on it more than this. So definitely, and especially being in data science, dealing with artificial intelligence models, and Monika will also agree with me, where biases in the model exist because the data that we are training on exists, and the biases in the data exist because they have existed earlier in the data that has been inputted. And in order to even identify these biases or point out, different perspectives are very important. So getting people from different genders and from diverse backgrounds as well really helps in making a better, more balanced, more equal world, I would say.
Thanks, Shraddha. Monika?
Okay, so since I come from a slightly different side of tech industry, which is research, so maybe I'll just try to give more sense of what the role of women in research is. So at TCS, we have various research areas such as behavioral and social sciences, computing systems, deep learning and AI, physical sciences, and many more such areas are there. So while I lead a deep vision group here, there are many female scientists who are at the top positions, and they're leading various research areas very successfully. And beyond that, they're also member or fellows of scientific reputed bodies such as Indian National Academy of Engineering or maybe ACMW. So we are regularly recognized for our novel contributions towards emerging fields of engineering and industry. So as Shraddha rightly pointed out, that in my opinion, just like any other domain, research or tech industry is also an area where diversity and inclusion, it results in a more dynamic environment. And if we have a team having diverse representation, it will lead to better, new, innovative ideas, which are extremely important to do something very novel, and which is basically very important component of doing research and contribute to the wider scientific community. Thank you.
Thanks, Monika. Madhurima?
So technology today is an industry which is having one of the biggest impacts in all our lives, right? How we live everyday life, businesses across the globe. Can women, 50% of the world population, really afford to be out of it? I think the question, the answer we all know is no. And how do we get a seat at the table? By being present, by being part of that industry, which means we all need to train ourselves. We need to train, all the women, the girls that we know. We need to create technologists for tomorrow and encourage them. And only when, one of the biggest challenges that I hear leaders speaking about why you don't have enough representation of women at the senior levels. Anita shared very interesting stats with us. They said, no, there's no pipeline. We don't have enough women to promote. So how do we solve for that? By being there, right? We'll solve that problem for you. All the women will get trained, become great technologists. We are there. Now you can't ignore us, right? That's we solve that problem for them. And which is why I think it's very important for women to be part of the tech industry. Anything which has power to shape the world's future, we need to be there. Shraddha and Monika talked about, how the bias creeps in when the data that is fed into the models does not have, the right kind of data. It is not complete data. It is missing out your 50% of the world's population and what it means to them, what effect it will have on them. We cannot really ignore that. So both for our selfish interest and for the society, I think women need to be present. I mean, it's just a no-brainer is what I would say, why women need to be part of the tech industry.
Thanks, Madhurima. That's a very legit point that you have made, that in order to reach there, we need to have women who can reach there. In case if you're not there, we'll never be there. So thank you for that. Chitra?
Yeah, exactly. That was going to be one of my points also. We just need a big base so that, eventually when the progression, the career progression happens, we'll have more women at the top. I mean, I think basically more women need to join the tech industry, simply because it's important from the perspective of gender-based egalitarianism. It's important to break that stereotype that we also discussed before, that women favor certain professions or can succeed in certain professions more than others. So if in one of the erstwhile male-dominated industries, if there are more and more women, and eventually more and more women rising to the top, the growing and the remarkable contribution of women in this field will significantly contribute to changing the general perception and also addressing the bias that exists in many other areas, not just the tech industry. So it can have broader repercussions. That's why I think it's important.
So I had 5 different aspects covered on why should women, in tech join more, and why should we just exist and do our jobs as women technologists and not just women technologists. Moving on, Chitra, I'll come back to you. I would want to know that, do you think enough is already done to help women get into the tech industry? If not, what would you recommend?
Yeah, so, I have a deeper view in my area. So in my area, I really do not see any bias against women who want to get into the industry. So at the entry levels or the junior levels, we also discussed before that, girls tend to, generally be very sincere, excel in, exams, and, go in for tech and other, good courses. And so at the recruitment level, at the entry level, I don't see a bias in my part of the world. Also, the opportunities for getting the required education, getting the required training to enter into this area of technology, those are also pretty much, equal. However, to accelerate the leveling of the field that I mentioned before, perhaps more could be done to encourage more women into the tech industry. But it has to be, I strongly believe it has to be merit-based. Anything that's not merit-based would only be harmful in the long run for us women, especially. And like in any other field, I think more needs to be done to ensure that perception of a woman's limitation due to her priorities in life or family related obligations, etc., does not impede her professional growth. And I was extremely, I've been in leadership positions, executive positions in the corporate world for a long time, and I was very particular about this. We know that if somebody is getting married, then automatically the thought is, after a year or two maybe they'll have to take off because of pregnancy, etc. And do we really want to take a chance, or should we really just go and hire a male candidate? So that those kinds of questions always come up, but I was very particular about being fair, because despite that, we know that women can deliver and they can do a very good job. So that itself cannot really be a reason to not give a fair chance to women. So that's it.
Thanks, Chitra. I think that really makes sense, because it's time that we have already seen the change in the pattern, how women used to work and how they started working precisely. The priorities, the management, everything is changed, and we've started working multidimensionally and taking care of things in and out. And I think pandemic is the biggest credential to actually accredit and say that we have been handling these roles fantastically. So thank you so much for that. Shraddha, I'm going to move to you. I'm going to talk about the tech conferences or events, which is women-led. So, TechGeek also hosts a women-oriented coding competition, which is called TechGeek Geek Goddess. And every year we encourage women technologists, women coders, software developers to participate and work on solutions. And the major objective, the main objective of doing so is bring them to the forefront and let people know that what innovation or what kind of magic these women tech leaders or women technologists can actually bring into, right? So a special attention is required. Let's say yes to it. It is required because it's the need of the hour. If we don't give that, I don't think we'll ever be credited for what we do and how we do. So keeping those things in mind, Shraddha, help me understand that. Do you think these conferences and these events should be supported more, or do they contribute to the greater segregation of entire motivation or boosting up the participation?
Sure. So let's take a step back and think, why are these events required, right? If you think about like 2 decades ago, if anyone stepped into a conference or some workshops, the amount of male representation would be quite high, right? And as a woman, it can be intimidating to step into that area, especially because the focus is now more, we are opening up more and encouraging women to come in more. So it is difficult to have an audience full of men while speaking, have all your co-speakers to be majorly male gender. So I feel this support is required, and it is required until a time where not having the support is just normal, as in there's no special focus that is required to promote women, to give them the confidence to speak at conferences, participate in workshops, where it just happens naturally. The balance, again, I'll talk about, until we get that gender balance in these areas, until then some focus is required. I feel it's like when your body has certain deficiency, right? When it has a deficiency of vitamin D, you just take vitamin D. You don't like stop not take vitamin D because other vitamins will feel bad, or they feel like left out or segregated. So for a short period of time, that is required. That focus is required until the levels come back to normal. And then hopefully this is no longer going to be an issue. The segregation, I understand. Some men, I'm talking about men over here, majorly they form the other major gender, may feel that there is some segregation taking place, that this person has got to speak only because they are a woman, you know. It not only demeans that women's ability to reach that place, because she has still reached that place within the competition, within other women and everything. So let's not demean that, let's not demerit that, let's acknowledge that it is the need of the hour, and slowly we build that roadmap till it no longer is required, no longer is the need of the hour.
Thanks. I really like that example you gave of vitamin D. That was very relevant. And nobody should feel bad. People do feel bad that we are given special privileges, but we have been allocated with those privileges only because it was required. We didn't ask for it, right? The society made us feel that way, and we did ask for it. Yes, Anita, I think you have, you need to add something here.
I love the example, Shraddha. It was really fantastic. I would like to add another element to a woman's personality, why these, tech events or any events are required. Women generally would raise their hands if they have 80% knowledge of something and 20% is not known to them. Okay, and as as studies have always told, a man will raise the hand even if he is 40 or 50% into it. He said, I'll learn it. So what are we trying to do here is we are putting them into a place where they can see that there are many more like us who can learn from us. Okay. The other aspect that I think women definitely need to up their game on is networking. And tech conferences are one of the best places to put yourself forward, talk to people. I call this as a practice ground. You don't have to be on stage all the time, but you can be in the conference. Hey, I am Anita. This is what I do. What do you do? This simple statement can change somebody's life. So I think it is important for us to put ourselves forward and go to these conferences as well.
Thank you, Anita. I think that's a very valid point that you have made. Networking has always been one conscious call from all the leaders that we have always mentioned, that we have always spoken about, that how critical it is. And we see that men are often very good at networking when it comes to talking to people, but women, for some reason, are very hesitant in reaching out to somebody, which is not, I should not say that's wrong, but in order to be there where you're aspiring to be, there are certain steps which are required, and this is one of them. So very important one. Thank you so much. I will now move to Madhurima. Madhurima, I would want to know from you that how are you encouraging to get more women employees into technology? And are there any upskilling initiatives in your organization that are helping talent mobility as well as empowering young women to be in the technology domain?
Yeah, so at NetApp, we do have a very high executive focus on DIB, diversity, inclusion, and belonging. And, gender equality is one of the primary areas amongst that. So we were just discussing about networking, and let me begin with that. There are multiple initiatives that we do. Creating opportunities to network with other women is something that NetApp always had. We have a women in technology group, which is, for each geography there's one, and then there's a global one where all of us can come together and discuss. And I think that that's a very powerful space to be in, right? Because we get to meet the other women technologists, we get to meet other women leaders, hear their stories, get inspired, motivate others. We also get to share what challenges we are facing, and I think, and hear from how others have probably gone through it and overcome that. And I think that goes that's a big step towards getting more women as part of tech, because it kind of, in a way, reduces the drop rate, right? If somebody is facing challenge and they know that can be overcome, they are less likely to leave employment in a tech industry and go somewhere else. So that's one thing that we do. And again, if you look, we start at the bottom of the pyramid, right? We go out to various government colleges. There's a program under our CSR umbrella. There's a CSR initiative where we have programs like Girls Who Code, and we invite and sponsor PU students in, female PU students in government colleges. There's a sponsorship that's given. We invite them. They get to spend a day at NetApp. They get to learn from NetApp mentors, understand, get a feel of what it would be like if they pursue a career here. So that's, in creating that pipeline. And, I think the fact that my company nominated me to come here speak, it's creating such opportunities where we send out our leaders to be part of the broader community and hopefully, create some difference, create some positive impact to encourage and attract other women to be part of NetApp. So that's some of the things we do, Sukriti, to attract more women in technology. The second question that you asked about upskilling, right? I think this is where we just take the view that all of us are technologists, right? And there are equal opportunities granted for upskilling created for both men and women. We all have access to the online portals that are there. There's a NetApp University where anybody can enroll, and everything that any corporate would do to upskill its talent. Specifically for women, I think it's very interesting. And again, part of this Women in Technology group, we've created a small group of women in technology. We take up a tech topic on a regular cadence, and we discussed it among ourselves. And why it's special? Because we are all women. We face the similar challenges. Not all are same, but similar. And it's just more easier, comfortable sometimes when you look at the room and everybody looks like you, right? You do not feel intimidated. Not that we should ever feel, but that's a reality. If we are in minority, anybody for that, anybody who's in minority in a group sometimes feels that there's less confidence, and same applies if there's like few men in a women's conference. I'm sure they feel the same like we feel. So it's just just creating that safe space where people can speak up, shed their inhibitions, be open to practicing, as Anita spoke about, having the crown without being on stage, right? You get to experience that. And many more I can think. We have this Accelerate Her program that we have recently launched for women entrepreneurs. We give them everything that we give to any entrepreneur, all the support. The only thing we've called it out as Accelerator, it's because for us to ensure that we have enough number of women entrepreneurs in the program, and we have to work extra hard to get them, but we have to do it because anything that gets measured gets done. So that's how the company looks at it. I can keep going on, but I'll just pause here so that others also get a chance to share.
Thanks, Madhurima, and I'm sure various organizations are already making so much effort. Monika, I was actually coming to you, but please go ahead, whatever you want to add to this.
Okay, so I just wanted to add one more point to what Madhurima mentioned. So in spite of all the initiatives that Madhurima described, so in research particularly, there are certain workshops or events are organized where women researchers are invited for presenting their research work, and they're also provided special grant, travel grant, and different awards are given so as to boost their confidence and promote them in the research community. So I would say that there are multiple ways by which this research community is empowering women to take active participations and thereby ensuring a very diverse and vibrant community.
Lovely. Thanks, Monika. I think that brings a different aspect of the research domain to us. Help me understand that we see various applications of technology such as AI, ML across industries, and it's one of the very, very, very hot topics, I should say, that is being discussed globally. What career opportunities or advice would you like to give to the women in tech and who are pursuing careers in these fields? And it's a disclaimer: these advices are not just for women in tech, but for everyone. So let's not make this agenda bias advice. But Monika, please go ahead.
Yeah, so technologies such as AI, ML, or DL, they have revolutionized every industry, be it manufacturing, banking, or healthcare. So we shall see more and more adoption and offerings built around these technologies and platforms in coming years to solve business critical problems and make business future ready. So first, let me tell you how we are leveraging AI ML in our group to solve real world problems. So for example, we have built a platform called Deep Reader, which is for automatically extracting information from scanned or camera captured document images, such as bank invoices, document engineering diagrams, industrial inspection sheets, or maybe resumes. So this deep reader platform, it can help in digitization of these documents for faster information retrieval and better inventory management. And this is in great demand, and it is being used by multiple TCS customers. And in addition to this, from last 2 years, we also started working in medical imaging domain. So where we have developed robust automated diagnostic solutions, such as COVID-19 identification from chest X-rays, and then detection of tumor from CT scans. So these diagnostic solutions, they can aid doctors in faster diagnosis and also reduce their cognitive burden. So these are just a few applications of AI being used in the industry, and the list is never ending. So therefore, I would like all my fellow tech enthusiastic women or men, particularly everyone, to please enroll in academic programs which are focusing more on these emerging and exciting technologies uh, as soon as possible without any further delay, because industry is in dire need of good professionals who have a knack of working on these cutting edge technologies, with hiring really picking up in the past 2 years, and which is only expected to go upwards from where we are right now. So that is the advice I would like to give to my tech enthusiastic people out there. Thank you.
I'd like
Thanks,
to add.
Monika. Yes, Anita, please go ahead.
So I totally agree with you. The knowledge of AI ML, definitely in all capacities. You don't really have to be a coder to learn AI ML. I think many people just are so scared of AI ML. Oh my God, I have to code. But I would say, as a user, as somebody who can give ideas as well, I think you should be a contributor. You should know what is happening in the world. So I did my 6 months AI ML course. The learning never stops. Last year, because it was COVID and we had nowhere to go, I utilized my weekend. So upskilling absolutely a must at all levels. So I know it is tough, but definitely you need to get invested in that. The second thing that I really want to talk, and I was talking before this panel discussion, if you have switched on the light, if you have switched on the fan, you are a stakeholder for technology. So do not think of technology as just the coding or just you are testing, you are using some technology, and I should know only the latest technology. That is again one of the biggest myths. Oh, if I'm not working on AI/ML, what am I doing with my life? No, I think you definitely need to upskill. You need to know what is happening around, but have that design thinking mindset. You need to know what you are doing, why you are doing. This is absolutely a must. So my 2 cents on that: don't get intimidated by technology. Even switching on light is comes under that. IoT is all about that. So if you can use it, you can create it. So just go ahead and upskill yourself.
Thanks, Anita. And with this, since you mentioned coding is not important, and it's all about how keen you are onto learning. You started your career as a software developer. You mentioned at the beginning, right? Help me understand, why should a software developer be a part of the open source community, and what are your points of view on this? I mean, I would want you to highlight that why it is very critical and how they can leverage this.
So I would say, for me, coding has always been very, very important. But having said that, I don't think open source is anywhere related to gender. Okay, let's drop that gender right there. Open source really makes me happy because of 2 reasons. One, it talks about innovation. Second, it talks about collaboration. Both aspects, no gender is required there. I can sit in India, talk to somebody in Bhutan, and get my code up and running. Open source is all about openness. It's about liberating you from the boxes that we have created for ourselves. Okay, coming back to the organizations, how it is helping the organizations. We are free. We are not really bound by, the licenses of it. You can go learn, experiment, do. ServiceNow has very beautiful platform for developers. We kind of encourage people to, come for hackathons and, do innovation, use open source as much as possible, right? So if you are doing AI/ML, Python is not new for you. We are talking about MS SQLs, DB systems. We are talking about web servers. We are talking Apache. Imagine. All these are open source. It's so open. It is a world, which is open for everybody. As women, what we should do is get invested in learning. Pick up one area that you like. If you don't like coding, it's absolutely fine. Go for Selenium scripting. If you don't know how to do scripting, check out the databases portion of it. Do mobile development. There are so many no code, options available. They are all technologies. So let's not bind ourselves by, if I don't code in Java, I am not a technologist. No, break that barrier. So break that bias. And I'm talking women here. I'm talking us. We have the bias. If I'm not coding, I'm not doing enough. That is not the case. We can be BSAs, we can be database administrators, we can be working on some OS, but we should do that. 77% of, what are the survey, there was a survey which was conducted by Open Source Initiative, and 77% people who, went through that, they said that we have increased our use of open source. People are, it's not a future. It was a future 20 years ago. If you say, I don't use open source, you are redundant. Okay, I think that is there. And if you think that I am not a stakeholder, if you have said Android is bad, iPhone is good, you are a stakeholder. Think about it. You are making a judgment. You are a user, you understand technology. So think on those terms. So that is what my recommendation is. Go put yourself there. I think that is where we are heading. And I totally agree with Monika. AI/ML definitely a must have. It is not a good to have anymore. Everybody should know. Everybody.
Thanks, Anita. That was a fantastic conclusion that you've brought in for all the software developers, not just women in tech. But thank you so much. I think that advice is really helpful. And 20 years back, we are in that situation, in that frame, wherein leveraging this is very important for our own, set of growth, I should say. So thank you so much for that. Let's, see if we have any questions. Audience, if you have any questions, our experts here are ready to answer them. I will just quickly see. Okay, so I have a question from Sheetal Dalal. She says, how to take a great platform for joining in IT technology as a fresher, like TCS or HCL? Monika, would you want to answer this? Anita, I'm open. Anyone can answer this, please.
So raise your hand and put yourself out there. If you are in a race, then only you win the medal. So put your resume, talk to people, get yourself out there. Monika, TCS for you.
Yeah, same thing I was about to say. You have to reach out to us either through TCS careers portal or via LinkedIn. So we are ready to accept, look at your resume and then take the process forward.
Thanks, Monika. Audience, any more questions? We're open to these questions only for 5 minutes. So if you have any, please help us, and we'll try and answer those questions for you. Our ladies here are willing to answer those questions to you, with all their experiences, with all their knowledge that you have gained so far in their, organizations, in their industries. So we're open to the questions. Okay, meanwhile, people are looking at questions. I would want to know one thing from each one of you. Career breaks. Let's talk about career breaks, which is very critical. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why organizations plan for, calling women back to work or planning an exclusive program for them, upskilling them, and, rather than just, throwing them out of the organization, just, letting them go, they tend to work on them, work on their skills, and keep them with them so that that constant innovation is happening by that individual. So that's something that I would want to know from each one of you, that how do you look at that and how critical it is. Any tip or advice that you would want organizations to take up from your end. So Shraddha, let's begin with you onto that.
Sure. Thoughtworks, I would like to talk about a program that Thoughtworks started called WAPSI. Yeah. So definitely there are like maternity leaves that are present for people who are in the technology space already working in corporates. And when coming back also, there is a little help to get them back in that whole corporate action. But we also recently started a program called WAPSI, which is aimed at women who have taken a break, who are not in the industry or corporate world as of now. Maybe they were some time back, and most likely due to having children, they decided they want to take a couple of years of break. And now they want to get back in the industry. Now, this getting back in the industry tends to be very difficult for various reasons. One is that employers usually tend to think that the mindset has changed. Will she be able to pick up again or not? Secondly, the technology, right? We are in an era where everything is changing very fast, including the technology. So one has to keep learning, has to keep upskilling themselves, right? So that also tends to play a major hurdle when thinking about getting women back in the industry. So I think programs like WAPSI are a really good fit over there, where we basically welcome women who have taken break due to various reasons and now would like to get back in the industry. So it's like a stepping stone where you again get in touch with what is the latest in the technology, how things are happening, what has changed, how can also think discover yourself, where do you fit in this whole scenario now, to be basically to empower them, to get them ready to go and submit their applications wherever, like not necessarily Thoughtworks or any other place, also just get them industry ready again. And I think very great initiative. I really like it. Having a break is I look at it as a way of life. Okay, if maybe for whatever reasons, family reasons, you get married, you get pregnant, you have to take care of children, you have to take care of some other aspects in life. So these things need to be taken on as a way of life and not have a this is professional me, this is personal me. Now professional me has had a break. Now what to do? So we have to start learning to live more in a flow.
Great. Thank you, Shraddha. And I have a couple of questions also. Madhurima, let's quickly, go ahead. We'll just quickly wrap this up and we'll take the question.
So I just wanted to share my experience. I took a break twice in my career, and given a chance, I'll do it again. It was much tougher coming back then because the environment was not conducive, right? Women who took a break and when they wanted to come back, there were not many options. But the one thing I want to share with the audience is that it's doable. You just need to believe in yourself. And while you are on a break, keep yourself updated, right? Don't think that just because you're on a break and you're not in a full-time job, you cannot employ your time otherwise to upskill yourself. Shraddha alluded to that, right? The industry is changing. You need to keep yourself updated. So do that. Stay connected to your colleagues so that when opportunities open up, you know what's available. And the other thing I also want to tell you all, have a story ready. Everybody loves story. Have that story ready as to why you took the break, what did you do in that break, and why you want to come back, right? You have to be able to share what drove you to do that in a manner which is understood by the person sitting on the other side of the table. And it can be fairly easy. So when I took a break, a lot of people were like asking me, are you sure, Madhurima, you want to take a break? You've got a great career going, it'll put you back. But I said, no, I want to do this for myself, and I did it. And I'm happy where I am today. It's not like I had to take a setback or anything, but that was purely because I invested in myself, not went away from the market, from the industry, just because I was on a break. That's what I wanted to share. Thanks.
Thanks, Madhurima. I'll quickly take up this question. Abigail Christina has a question. She says that I have 13 plus years of experience and a TPM now currently. I have done research in blockchain, AI, and ML and have published papers, but still, companies and recruiters look at hands-on experience rather than these kind of knowledge areas acquaintance. How do we convince the recruiters on this?
So I can share my experience on that. See, I think it is a general mindset. The organizations are having platforms where the opportunities are given to the women, right? But the challenge is like back from, whether it is back from break or whether it is entering into a new role. Most of the times what I have realized in my experience is that people give people see potential after a performance. For women, you have to perform, then they say that you have a potential. But on the other side, with majority of the men, they give the opportunity based on the potential and then think about the performance. So we need to flip it, and we are all sitting here. We all can give some opportunity to somebody. Let us do that. Let us mentor, coach, and sponsor somebody. Let us take that risk. Us. I'm not talking about somebody else coming and doing or allies coming and doing. I am saying if I can provide that platform to somebody, let's believe in the person. And sometimes you will fail. It's okay. You know why? We are so stuck about being successful all the time that we don't want to take that risk. What if we fail? Flip the question. What if I succeed? What if I give a chance and then somebody flies? So that is where we need to talk to we are all hiring managers here somewhere or other. So why don't we just look at a CV, see the potential, give a chance, understand, and mentor, sponsor, like Shraddha was telling. We have wonderful programs running in the organizations, but those organizations should not stop at the entry level. They should continue for till the time the person is successful. Entry, I think getting an entry is the easiest thing. If you prepare well, like you said, have a story, convince somebody, you are there. But the real struggle begins once you are in the system, you want to talk more about it. So I think each one of us has a responsibility that way to take it from here. Yes.
Thanks, Anita. Yes, Chitra.
No, I just want to add a slightly different perspective on my side of the world, where we are more of users of tools and technologies, databases, and all of that, rather than like developers. So what we look for is also some domain knowledge, some background in the area in which these, AI, ML, etc., are going to be applied. So having that, and I'm sure there are other areas like that, but so if you have some kind of a domain knowledge, then that is so you have experience in application of AI ML, but there is that domain, and because domain understanding is more difficult to acquire later. So if you come with that, then the technology, learning the technology, etc., is a little easier. Applying it to a particular domain is relatively easier. So I think that's the other way in which those opportunities can come up. Thanks.
Thanks, Chitra. This actually brings us to the end of our conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much everyone for joining. I will request our eminent speakers to give me the closing remark for the session. And Shraddha will begin with you.
I think this was a lovely conversation. First of all, thank you very much for inviting. I had a great time with all the different perspectives. And this is a conversation that is a need of the hour. So let's keep having this conversation and break the bias.
Thanks, Shraddha. Monika?
Thank you, Sukriti. So it was a wonderful session. We got to know a lot of different perspectives, and it was a great learning experience for me. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Madhurima?
Thanks. It's been lovely hearing all the different perspectives. I do want to leave the audience with, the thought that I always have in my mind, which I attribute my success to, is to believe in yourself and find someone who believes in you more than you do in yourself, because that's the person who will take you, through when you are in the lows. So do that, and believe, just have your own worldview, believe in your own success, don't let anybody else define it. And I think everything we've discussed so far will just get there. Thanks.
Definitely. Thanks, Madhurima. Thank you so much. Chitra?
Yeah, thanks to TechGig for organizing this. This is wonderful, and as others have said, I really enjoyed hearing the different perspectives as well, because my world is slightly different from the rest of you. One message that I would like to give is, basically just try and forget the fact that there is some kind of a gender, related differentiation in the world, especially in careers and all that, and just ignore that and just focus on what you can do best. I think that will make wonders. Thanks.
Thanks, Chitra. Anita?
First of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I would say my career is my responsibility. That should be on top of my head. Second thing that I would like to say is, don't get intimidated. My success, my happiness is my definition. So do not write your life with somebody else's pen. Take the pen, take charge of it, and write for yourself. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Anita. So just a conclusion here, that women now make up to 34% of the IT workforce in India. And with the majority of these workers under the age of 30, indeed the youth of Indian IT labor has significantly powered its rapid growth, and the country is now almost at a 50-50 gender parity rate in STEM graduates, I should say. The next challenge is now retaining the gender diversity through middle management and leadership roles, as we have just discussed. Given the government policies, NASCOM initiatives, and some of the inspiring work undertaken by the IT services companies themselves, it will be interesting to see if they can replicate the success at graduate level to maintain the gender parity momentum through the management layers as we speak. And the change is gradual, but we will definitely be there. We strive to be there someday. And with efforts, with conversations like this, I think it's going to be a push for everyone in and around. So thank you so much, ladies, for being here. It's time for me to sign off. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and hope this conversation was helpful for your career, and for inspiring to be the person, a woman, in tech, or I should say, technology. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.